Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free, impartial advice on all your debt.
This is something that comes along every now and then in generation, and it's special.
Andrew McCART, IFL TV, in association with MTK Global. Delighted as always to be joined by Mr. Frank Smith. Before we start this interview, we've just had 2 games of ping pong, table tennis. What's the score?
It's 2-0.
To who?
You. I don't remember what the exact score of each game was. I can't remember, but I do know you absolutely took me to beat, smash.
No, we'll get another game in. We'll get another game.
By the end of this trip, I might beat you.
Is that a bet?
Yeah, I'll have £100.
£100?
Yeah, but we can play like as many games as possible, physically possible within the time frame.
Right, I'll ask Coogan for a lend £100 in. Frank, huge fight week in Miami and here in San Antonio, but we'll start in Miami since that's where you started off with Golovkin against Szeremeta. Golovkin, I said to Eddie Hearn when I spoke to him, I have to swear, fuck's sake, I've never seen him that ripped on the scales before, man. What's your thoughts on that fight?
He looked in unbelievable shape, didn't he? Szeremeta, obviously IBF mandatory challenger, had a good win on the Golovkin undercard. This fight was supposed to happen a long time ago. Unfortunately, due to COVID, it's been delayed. But looking forward to it. And as you say, Golovkin looked in sensational shape. I haven't quite seen him like that before. Well, maybe have, but in his last few fights, didn't look in quite that shape. So yeah, he's looking forward to that one. It's a good card there as well. You got Choi on the undercard. You got John Ryder on there. You got Ali Akhmedov in a real tough fight. So excited for that one. Milan we just finished as well. Talk about 2 big fight weeks. Just finished Milan. Got Ross Garrity's out there for us. Gamaliel Fire just won the European title. Some great fights on that card as well. So yeah, exciting times.
Well, 4 shows in like a week. You had AJ last week, but we'll come on to that probably. Jumping into San Antonio where we are right now, Eddie Hearn said this is the biggest fight of the year so far. People might argue Wilder Fury 2 at the start of the year in February, but it is a big fight for Callum Smith and probably Canelo as well. But again, your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, look, it's great that this fight could happen, especially amongst the world we're living in right now. It's tough times, and it took a lot of work to make it happen. Callum Smith getting his opportunity, going in there against pound for pound number 1 boxer in the world, but Callum Smith's number 1 168 fighter, and you look at the size difference between the two of them. I saw a post earlier of someone saying the guy on the left chose to go in there and have a fight with the guy on the right. So there's a lot of questions to be answered, and I think he's a big, funnily enough, in the betting realms, he's a big outsider, isn't he, Callum Smith? But he is the number 1 168 fight, 168 pound fighter, and Canelo wants those challenges. So really looking forward to it, and to get a fight of this magnitude happening in the world we're living in right now, it's great to see.
I know we're not in Mexico, but we are in Texas, so that being said, we've seen it in boxing sometimes the superstar always gets the nod if it's a close fight. So that being said, does Callum need to go in there and possibly drop, hurt, maybe even stop Canelo to get the win here?
I think every fighter will they'll both be going in there wanting to stop the other, but I think he'll get a fair crack of the whip with the judges, But Callum's going in there, he spoke about it earlier in the press conference. He'll of course look for the knockout, but he believes he can outbox him as well. So we'll see what happens. I've just been down to the Alamo Dome. It's a fucking huge place. Obviously we've got just over 12,000 people in there on Saturday. That atmosphere that's going to be created, mostly Canelo fans, obviously, it won't be a shock. But it's really looking forward to it. And Callum's boxed in front of these big audiences. He's not going to be under pressure. He's boxed abroad. He's travelled. So I think he's going to thrive on it, and he's looking forward to it.
Okay, I'll put you on the spot a little bit here. Does this fight go the 12 rounds?
Yes, I do think so. I didn't think so, but now I do think so. And I think it could be quite close.
Why do you think it goes? Because obviously Canelo's stopped Kovalev, he's a big puncher himself, and Callum Smith, we all know what he can do with George Groves, Rocky Fielding. We've seen him bringing out the big Scotland as well, another sensational knockout. So why do you think it's going to go to 12 rounds? Do you think they just probably they can handle each other's power because they're both elite fighters?
Don't get me wrong, they can stop each other, but I just think that Callum Smith has obviously been in there with the best. He's a tough guy. Canelo, I think we all know how tough he is. You said about stopping Sergey Kovalev. Kovalev slightly older when he fought him, but they can. Don't get me wrong, they both can stop each other. But I just see it going to 12 rounds personally. I think it's going to be a tear up.
That's music to my ears. You mentioned the 12.
What do you think?
See, everyone's asked me that question.
I like asking after you ask me a question. I like asking you a question. So these two guys going in there. Obviously, Canelo stopped Sergey Kovalev at 175 pound last time. How do you see it going, mate? Do you see there being a stoppage, or do you think it's going to go to 12 rounds? Over to you. Over to me.
Well, Frank, as always, thank you for that question. I do appreciate it. But as always, on your Game of Thrones throne, I don't know. Obviously, you think Canelo because he's a superstar, but it's just been with Callum this week and seeing how relaxed he is and calm. He doesn't give anything away, Callum, and you can never write off. And I always use this scenario, and I was going to use this as the question for you. We've seen Lomachenko, a pound-for-pound #1 guy, going in against Teofimo Lopez, who's a bigger fighter. And it's that old saying that every good big fighter beats a good little one. So I'm sort of like, did people give Teofimo Lopez a chance against Lomachenko? Maybe a 15% of the people that put a bet on maybe did, but no, we've seen it happen before, and why can't we see Callum do it? That's sort of my sort of scenario. Do you agree, Frank?
I agree with your scenario there. I think these guys are both at the top of their game. Callum Smith, Ring Magazine champion, and you don't just get that for being an average fighter. So I think you have to give credit to both of them. I think they're both 30 years old, aren't they? They're both had a lot of experience. Obviously, Canelo's had a lot more fights. What's he had, like 56 fights? 56, yeah. So they've both been through the learning process, and I think it's the right time for both of them, for both this fight. And Callum Smith will be looking forward to it. As you say, he's very chilled out. You wouldn't know what he's got ahead, what he's got coming up on Saturday, and I think that helps, just how calm he is. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good night.
That being said, for the winner, you probably know better than me. I'm not privy to the contract and if there's a rematch clause and all this sort of stuff, but for fans, we'd probably like to see the winner in against Billy Joe Saunders, whether that be Callum Smith. A big fight for us fans over in the UK, two Brits going at it. But for Canelo as well, this fight, it was on the end for us. We were almost there to announce it. A lot of fans think Billy can do it with his sort of style. So for the winner, will we see Billy Joe Saunders take on the winner?
I think for sure. As you say, a lot of people saying Billy Joe hasn't been given the opportunity for the big fights. He was a day away from announcing that fight. The deal was all agreed, and then COVID hit. It was good to get Billy out, against Martin Murray, a good win for him. But I think there's definitely, as we've seen with Canelo, he wants to fight the best. He's up for fighting Billy Joe Saunders, and I'm sure Callum Smith will as well. Win, lose or draw for all these guys, there are huge fights out there to be made across that division. You've got the Golovkin fight for Canelo as well. You've got the Andrade fight for Billy Joe Saunders. There's so many fights that can be made amongst all these people. So I think there's opportunities, win or lose, for all of them.
Well, I want to quickly jump into AJ and Tyson Fury. This might be the biggest fight of the year so far, but I knew you would, man. But I've lost my train of thought. I was trying to think who won there, but yeah, this is definitely the biggest fight of the year so far. Like Eddie said, but for next year, the biggest fight next year is definitely 100%, no shadow of a doubt, going to be AJ versus Tyson Fury. But Bob Arum said talks begin on Monday. We're here on Thursday. I know you're the man behind the man. That's you know, Frank. So, what kind of discussions have been made, if any, and have you got any progress on that fight?
The man behind the man.
Eddie Hearn's the man, but you're the man behind the man that pulls the strings and does all the pen and paper stuff.
Yeah. No, everyone's working towards making it happen. I think both sides want that fight. AJ does, Tyson Fury does, and I truly believe it will happen next year. There's work going on behind the scenes, lots of work to be done, and I'm sure we will get there. It's a fight that you don't want it to slip away. and now is the time better than any time to make it happen. There's still stumbling blocks. You've still got the thing around the WBO, Usyk, etc. We'd love this fight to be for all the belts. My personal opinion is this fight is just as huge with or without belts. It's the number one, number two taking each other on. And I do believe it will go ahead for all of the belts. I do believe that it'll happen. Undisputed championship, heavyweight championship, and 2021. I think we'll see it happen.
Yeah, that's music to my ears. But like you said, Eddie sort of said at the press conference at the Golovkin fight that, listen, we're not going to be held to ransom, so to speak, to these governing bodies, man. This fight is too big. The fans want it. We've been wanting it for years over in the UK and world boxing. So the Ring magazine's on the line. That won't go anywhere because it's number one and number two. So what's your thoughts on if none of the belts are on the line? Do you care? You're a boxing fan as well as being in that as a profession. For you, is undisputed, having that undisputed tagline, does that mean more to the fighters? Because the fans probably think, just get the fight on.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things. Fighters do care about the belts. I do also think sometimes commercially, certain people involved in the fight, be that sponsors, be that a site, be that wherever the bout's going to take place, sometimes that does matter as well. On the other hand, to a fan, do I think that it makes any difference to the number of people watching? Personally, no. I don't think anyone would go, not going to buy that pay-per-view, or I'm not going to watch that fight because it's not for every belt. That's my true opinion. I wouldn't. Yeah. If AJ and Fury had a fight and they turned around to me, I wasn't involved in boxing, they said, yeah, they're doing that fight, it's all the same details, the same price and everything, but they haven't got the belts. You wouldn't. I don't think any fan would care at that point. But at the same time, like I say, boxers care about the belts, and that's always been the thing. Boxers want to win a world title. They want to win this one. They want to win that one. They might have a favourite. They might have grown up saying, I want to be the WBC world champion. I want to be the Ring magazine champion. Whatever it is. So, but I don't believe that it makes any difference when it comes to it to the individual fan. Maybe commercially it may make a difference to certain people, but not to the fan at home. I don't think.
I'm going to put you on the spot, and I know AJ, you know AJ quite well, so I'm going to put you on the spot, and because you didn't ask me the question, I'm going to ask you, who wins for you then? Obviously it's a tough fight for both men, but for you, might be a dumb question, but who wins?
Look, I think it is a very tough fight. I think every fight at heavyweight amongst those elite fighters is a tough fight, and as we've seen, anything can happen. But I strongly, strongly do believe that Anthony Joshua goes in there, does the business, and knocks out the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury.
Big statement, Frankie.
You've got to make big statements. No, but like I say, heavyweight boxing, anything can happen. But I believe that AJ beats Tyson Fury. And look, it's a great night, isn't it? It's what this sport's all about. The biggest fights, the biggest names going in there. I can't wait for the build-up as well. That's going to be exciting. We might even see a roll around between Bob Arum, Eddie Hearn, and Frank Warren as well.
What about you? You obviously that's 2 against 1. Would you not jump in for your man, Eddie?
No, because you've got to let the old boys, you got Eddie's about half their age, so you've got to let them two go at Eddie together, haven't you? It'd be quite funny, wouldn't it?
I would love that. If that was pay-per-view, I'd love it. Look at the views I would get. Imagine if I was there. But I'll be disappointed if you don't try and jump in and help he's your mate. Eddie's your mate.
Don't get involved in roll-arounds.
You look like you can have a tear-up, Frank. I'll give you that. You've got quite a build about you now.
No, I couldn't hurt.
You've had a fight before, though.
Yeah, but I couldn't hurt a fly. I can take a punch from someone much smaller than me, but anyone above my size are being on the floor, mate. I'm not a tough guy.
Oh, well, that's well said there, Frank. But we're middle of December. 2021's coming around. You got any news on when sort of show dates and stuff like that? When can we look forward to some announcements?
I was actually coming down here to sit down with the old gaffer over there, Edward, to work through the schedule, but he had a load of media around him, so we're I know you get it everywhere. We're in the process now of working through our schedule, UK, US, Italy, all our global schedule, trying to piece everything together. I hope to see news very soon. We've got some exciting fights out there, lots to look forward to. You've got Kelly Avanesian, which we'll announce soon, which is a great one. Estrada Chocolatito we're working on now for the US, which is great. Obviously Dillian White, Alexander Povetkin rematch, working on a date for that. So lots to look forward to, aiming to get back to our 50 shows a year next year. It's hopefully 2021 will be back to some kind of normality, whatever that is.
Whatever that is, but let's hopefully we can get the fans back, a little bit more of them as well. It was good to see 1,000 fans, it's good to see 12,000 fans here, but let's hopefully we can get a little bit more. Frank, that tennis table is empty. One more?
Mate, I will play you all night until I beat you.
Never going to happen, mate.
Or I'll just have to get you hammered until I beat you.
Well, do that, I'm happy. If you're paying, I'll do that.
Perfect. Well, look, if I win, you'll see me again this week. If I don't, I'll be in my room sulking.
There you go. Perfect way to end this, Frank. As always, thanks for this Fight for TV, mate, and let's go and have a game. Thanks, mate.
This is something that comes along every now and then in generation, and it's special.
Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free impartial advice on all your debt.